I have to say, I didn't think we'd get so many great connections to the Sounds of Nightmares and the Lonely Ones shown to us within Little Nightmares 3, and shown with such significance. So if you've clicked this video, I'm going to assume that you're okay with me spoiling parts of the Sounds of Nightmares and the Lonely Ones. While this video is going to be covering topics related to Otto, I won't be telling you the whole story from the Sounds of Nightmares and the Lonely Ones, only the parts that help me explain Otto's character, so consider this your spoiler warning. But as usual, I would highly recommend you go check them out in your own time because they are great bits of media. So, before we get into Otto, we have to talk about his role in the Sounds of Nightmares as the Counsellor. The Counsellor was our first introduction to Otto in the series. He is a key character alongside Noon. During his time at the Institute, Otto's role is a psychiatrist. His job is to talk to the children, help find their problems, and assist them in any way he could, or so we believed. It's not until later in the first season of The Sounds of Nightmares where Otto reveals his true intentions. He's actually a very vile person and is only after one thing, his Cece. And to get to Cece, he knows he needs to connect with the Ferryman, or as Otto knows him in The Sounds of Nightmares, the Candleman. Otto has created a machine, an apparatus of sorts. This machine that Otto created would help him enter the nowhere and find his Cece, find the threshold that the machine needs. This threshold acts as the portal to the nowhere. For instance, Noon was a perfect patient for this because of her tumour growing inside of her head, and this is what Otto used as a gateway to get to the Ferryman and to the threshold. Otto was absolutely desperate to use this machine whenever he could, so he would make a horrible set of choices. Horrible revelations that will come later on in the series when we find out sweets that Otto has been giving Noon and the children are laced with sleeping sedatives, thus making the line "sweets for my sweet" all more haunting. So that is a short recap of Otto from The Sounds of Nightmares, or the Counsellor as we know him, and yes, there's lots of little details that we still need to go through, but I will be bringing them up as we go through the video. But of course, if you are enjoying the video, and thank you for still watching, and if you enjoy Little Nightmares content and would love some more theory videos and things like that, all around Little Nightmares, make sure to hit subscribe because I have a lot of videos coming. Anyway, shameless self-promotion out of the way, let's carry on. This brings us to Little Nightmares 3, and more specifically, the characters known as the Counsellor and the Hypnotist. We will be talking about all the connections that are in Chapter 4 alongside the Sounds of Nightmares, and there are quite a few, and this is why I think Otto is the Hypnotist. Now, let me list off a good few reasons why I think this is going to be the case. One thing that I've always found super interesting is, of course, the inclusion of Noon's objects too, because they tie Otto and Noon so well, and we can see this because in a few of the rooms we can see Noon's brain MRI scan on the walls hung up. Now, I'm no doctor, but I believe they are telling the story of the mask that is behind Noon's eyes, as we can see in the image here. Something which was also confirmed in Chapter 5 of The Sounds of Nightmares. We also see throughout the whole Institute chapter of Little Nightmares 3 a flower being shown to us, and this is linking us to Noon's story and character. She mentions to Otto in The Sounds of Nightmares how sad she feels when an insect is eating her plant that her parents gave her. This might be the reason why we see the plants in both states in the game, one before and one after it's being consumed by these insects. And again, it fits with the flow of those stories about how things were before. There is even a correlation between a painting that Noon saw in The Sounds of Nightmares and the one that we can see in game, which was what we believe is the area of Otto's personal office or space. It's the painting that's often referred to as the Seer's Gaze. I also think this is the painting that was shown to us in the Little Nightmares showcase, the one where we can see it in the background, which if you look at is taking the shape of a moon crescent, and it has a few stars inside it. And I do wonder if this is a representation of the nowhere and how it fits into our understanding and where it belongs. But we've also seen something similar on one of the paintings, and that is of course sort of depicting the threshold, if you will, with the staircase and the door and the stars in the background. There could be a correlation between these two. And of course that ties lovely with the rest of the room and its significance, because the rest of the room is filled with Otto's equipment that we hear throughout the Sounds of Nightmares. We can see Otto's apparatus machine, this machine that he would use on his patients as a way to gain access to the nowhere, to the threshold for himself. It even has a few of the key details that we were told about in the series. The apparatus, the resonator caps. Noon describes them as metal spiderwebs. So it's pretty safe to say that at this point, this is Otto's office, and where he would conduct most of the sessions with the children. Not to mention, of course, the amount of suites that he has around the place, but more importantly, specific suites that he has lined up for certain children. I say this because we have suites often in the jars lying around the area, but sometimes we know that the ones that are laced with the sleeping agent are specifically laid out and noted, most likely tagged, to which child it's going to, and to how much to add to the sleeping agent. So something we should also mention alongside all of this, to really recap and help us with knowing that this is Otto, is the patient numbers. More specifically, Low. Now we know that Low's number is 1331, and so we know at some point in time Low has been under the care of Otto, or at least some kind of colleague of Otto. And it's possible as more time's gone on, the more desperate Otto has become. Now interestingly, we also get to see Noon's patient number at some point too. When they did announce that they had 1 million listeners, they included Noon's patient number, and that was 1229. Not to mention that actually Noon has a room in the game with that same number on the bed frame, again similar to Low's, so we know they've been under the care of Otto at some point. We can see towards the end of chapter 4, as Low gets took back in time or sees the past, as he wakes up in the bed with his number on, we can see that he has all the hallmarks of Otto's influence: the tape, the sweets, the most importantly, the machine under the bed. For Low, monsters really did live under his bed, and Otto was that monster. So it's safe to say, with all these connections to the Sounds of Nightmares and Otto, we can assume that Otto is the counselor, Otto is the hypnotist, and Otto got what he wanted. He crossed that threshold. He is now a resident of the nowhere, and of course we have seen what his twisted desires and what he was frantically chasing has caused him to now become. His endless pursuit of CC has become his evermore downfall. Again, because of all these links, I would find it very hard to argue that this is not Otto. At a stretch, I would possibly say it's a colleague of Otto. But what did you think? Do you have a theory on this? What do you think about Otto? Do you think it's someone else? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. But of course, with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to hit like and subscribe and do all the usual YouTube stuff. Hype the video if you've got some hype left. But with that being said, have a lovely morning, day or night, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe. And remember, if you want to see more Little Nightmares content, hit subscribe, because I've got tons planned. Again, I'm over being ill now, so I've got lots to catch up to do. So if you want Little Nightmares content, make sure you hit subscribe. I've got lots coming. But with that being said, have a lovely morning, day or night, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next Little Nightmares theory video. Bye!